What I love about this distillery is if I lean here, I can see the whole process. Really from milling through to mashing. You can see the fermentation area, and then you can just catch a glimpse of the still house. The distillery, designed by Delmy Evans and Lothian Barclay. Lothian Barclay, I think, took influences from previous architects to come out with quite an unusual building. Delmy Evans definitely took his history from the brewing and brought it into distilling. He'd worked in a number of distilleries around Scotland and had actually finessed to the point where he felt that he was producing a really good distillery, and we now benefit from that, so it's brilliant.
First installment of Whisky Wanderlust took us to Glenallachie Distillery, located in the heart of Speyside. Raise a Glass podcast host Robert Sickler and I drove up that morning through the beautiful Cairngorm Mountains. The distillery is located at the foot of a mountain catchment, providing perfect water. The plant is set up very efficiently, with several warehouses extending back from the production area. Distillery manager Richard Beattie played a crucial role in retooling this relatively unknown distillery that spent most of its 53-year life producing for the blenders. This charismatic whiskey man led us on an unforgettable no-stone-unturned tour.
We have a nice peppery note to our new make that comes through in a lot of them, so we talk about white and black, cracked pepper and ginger and other nice spices. And then we put the rye on top of that as well. It's just increasing that experience.
It's not uncommon for a Scotch whisky distillery to be surrounded by barley fields, and Glenallachie is certainly no exception. If you've ever been on a distillery tour, your first stop was probably the mill room, where raw malted barley is ground into a coarse flour called grist. Richard was quite proud to show off his classic mill made by Porteous.
The company Porteous actually eventually went out of business because they built them. They needed a minor bit of servicing, but they kept going. So the unfortunate thing about that is it meant that they went out of business. The fortunate thing is we've got this fantastic mill. It's got an easy to use, easy to control. I think it gives a little bit of extra efficiency, specifically matching what we're trying to achieve. So.
This is the control centre of the distillery. We're going to follow the grist bin to the next stream. There we go. So this is basically this room. So when we're mashing in, we take the grist and we take the hot water from this tank and we mix it together inside the mash tank.
So when we put the liquid yeast, it goes in and then ultimately into the fermentation area. 6 stainless steel line fermenters is originally put in, and that's good because we have long fermentations, so they are easier to clean than wooden washbacks. A bit of luxury of that 160 hours fermentation, which we feel gives us a little bit more spirit character. It allows the good organisms beyond the normal distilling yeast to kick in and give us a little bit more character and a little bit more depth to our whiskey. Yeah. So here's now 48 hours. Just going past the really, you still get a real hit from the CO2. We'll end up with an 8.8% alcohol wash, which is reasonably strong. So again, you can start to pull some of the aromas out of the fermentation when you do that. So you can actually just pull it gently at the end of the fermentation. So 160 hours is long. How do we know that's okay? Well, we do a lot of monitoring. We check the pH, we check the acidity, we check the nose on it as well to make sure it hasn't gone sour. Now, sour mash are great. If you're in some American states, it works really well, and that's something you're trying to achieve. That's not for us. So we're not looking for that sour character. We're just looking for a really enhanced basket of flavours that we can then take through to the distillation, and that's important to us. One of the reasons the distillery is where it is in Scotland is the guys that were doing the building went around Scotland and they looked at different parts of Scotland. They looked in the borders, they looked far in the Highlands and up the north, and they wanted to have a high quality water source. So the rock and the stone and the hill here, BenRiach, is a granite intrusion, which is a little bit unusual. It's like the Cairngorm Mountains, which are further down the Spey, so it gives itself a really light, soft water. So we've a number of springs running into 2 dams that then bring the water down, and they're about 5 kilometres, 3 miles up the valley. It's a really large catchment area, and it's really fortunate that it actually allows us to function and get enough water for that. Because even in Scotland, we have occasions where people have to shut down. Last year we were fine. Even in the dry year, we actually had enough water. We did a lot of project work this year to make sure all the pipe work's there. And it was originally done so the designer could say, I could use the energy from that to run the mashing. And then every occasion he used thereafter, anytime he could save energy, he would do it. So we'll see when we go through the still house. He's got a nice little trick that helps that.
We have to get on, we have to get on. We have so much time and so little to do. Strike that. Reverse it. This way, please.
So these are big, bold stills. They're squat, they're strong, there's not too tall a neck. It gives a rich, heavy spirit with a lot of meaty character. Delmy Evans came up with a number of really nice little features to save energy. He just took his knowledge. He said, like, what can we do? How can we be a little bit careful? Even in the 60s, he was still looking at that sort of thing. And so we benefit from this. So here also, nice chance to have a look inside the still. So it's a balanced distillation. Gotcha. Every time we fill these, we actually fill these. It gives you that consistency, and you always know that the spirit cut will be about the same length. So we'll take samples all the way through the distillation. We'll take samples at the cut points to make sure we're still extracting exactly as we want, and we'll look at the reference sample and compare as well. Come on, we'll go and see some wood.
Okay. Definitely a touch of mocha. Cast makeup similar. PX, Oloroso, and Virgin. It's another belter.
Industry veteran blender Billy Walker led the purchase of Glenallachie from Pernod Ricard in 2017. Prior to this, Billy did the same at BenRiach and GlenDronach, subsequently selling both off to Brown-Forman. Experienced in bringing forgotten distilleries back to life, Walker formed a new team with longtime collaborator Tricia Savage to go after Diamond in the Rough, Glenallachie, a malt long appreciated by blenders for its meaty assertiveness.
One of the key things for us is what we do with whiskey, how we take it on a journey, where we take it from and where it's going to go to, and you have to be able to do that yourself. So we'll put the filling pipe in that you see above our head, runs down the side of warehouse number 3, and then into the filling store. So we know everything about that cask. So it's got its own barcode, it's got its own fill volume, we'll know the strength of the spirit that we put in. So it gives us a history of that particular batch, and it should mean, then when we take it back out, we can say, well, it was filled to 205 litres, or it was filled to 197 litres, and out of it, you know, we would expect this level of spirit. That's perfect. Well done, guys. We use a lot of PX puncheons, we use a lot of Oloroso, we use a nice number of red wine casks, I think they're Burgundy. We do a number of rye casks. We do virgin casks because we feel that's an important aspect to the development of any product that we're doing, and certainly of the core range. It's certainly something that the master blender feels very strongly about, that it just gives a really nice vanilla note to it, and a lot of colour, and that helps with that. We don't put colour in, so and also it gives a really nice, some nice wood sugars as well. And so we play tunes around the casks that we do and what we're going to try and do with them. Try that. That's Oloroso. Should be nutty, spicy.
Tequila casks yet?
No.
Only a matter of time.
Well, we don't own a tequila distillery, so we're unlikely to be using our own. You know.
Not yet, right?
Yeah, not yet. So this is the new meat that we're talking about, and what Lindsay's doing is setting them all up. They come in from the filling store. If they're not actually getting stowed today, we'll make sure that the bung is up, and then we'll set up the stacker, bring it in and put it into a stow. Because it wasn't a forward-facing distillery, then there was a little bit of opportunity for us to just, I suppose, again, it's finesse, isn't it? So this is routine. This is this week's samples. Billy will be up and he'll be looking at the cask samples, seeing that the whiskey's maturing in the right direction. We're really fortunate. We've got some amazing work and we've got some amazing whiskey to work with. So.
Is that a hard decision for you guys to come to not be sprinkling another bit of E115?
No, we don't chill filter, so routinely the whiskey is 46 or above. We feel that that gives extra mouthfeel, extra character, extra length to the whiskey, something for everybody to enjoy. So it's important to do that. And you wouldn't add colour because we think it should be a natural process. It's about selecting the right casks and moving it forward. So it's a kind of no-brainer that we would do that.